The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing. Here's your host, Matt Hansen.
And this is the Digital Marketing Podcast. He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Diedlow. We're in Hammond, Indiana, on the Purdue campus, and we talk about mastering local marketing for your small or medium-sized business, or on the other side, if you're someone who sells marketing, and there's also people who work at agencies that listen. But we appreciate it, and we appreciate you telling others about this podcast. And Matt Hansen, the next episode will be our 34th episode.
Yeah, I told you, when we're off and running, we're off and running. So we've been keeping consistent to a week, and I was doing the math the other day, and I realized that our 100th show will be Christmas.
I'm okay. I live a couple blocks away here, and we could just be here. I mean, you hang out with your family for a couple hours, and you got nothing to do all day. Hey, we could do a Christmas podcast.
Yeah, I don't think my wife is going to enjoy that, but maybe we'll have to do it a couple days before. But we made the commitment this year. We're going to do 100, and we're going to keep going. And I know we've had some decent growth on our listeners, and we're kind of all over the world at this point, and we're getting a lot of feedback, and I love it. And keep sending it in. Let us know what else we can cover. We were actually, I didn't tell you this, but we were actually highlighted through a podcast network yesterday, and we had about 20 people reach out asking to be guests. So I got to go through that later on today and kind of see who would be a good fit here. And I'm really kind of interested. People are coming to us instead of us going to them.
Excellent, because that kind of fits with what we're going to talk today. And, we talk about, the sales funnel. We talk about the 7 deadly sins of marketing. But in the end, it's mostly an attitude, really, of taking it seriously and being creative and not spending a whole ton of money. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Some of the best small business marketing campaigns ever. Let's start out with the first one, Blendtext. Why is that so cool?
So I brought in, these are a bunch of campaigns that I absolutely have loved through the years, right? So they may not be from this year, they may not be from last year, but they are ones that you should thoroughly examine and look into. So Blendtec, they had this campaign called Will It Blend? And basically, Blendtec sells blenders. And they're expensive blenders. I think the cheapest blender that they have is $400, right? And they go up to thousands of dollars. And, how do you sell a blender? How do you get people excited for a blender? I mean, there's only so many margarita ads you can do, right, for a blender. But I guess the story goes, and this, I've heard multiple angles of it, but the idea is this, that they were walking through and trying to figure out how they could do some kind of new content for the blender, and they were testing the blenders in the back with 2x4s. Now, a 2x4 is a 6 to 16 foot piece of wood, right? It's technically, it's supposed to be 2x4, but you get the idea. It's not exactly 2x4, but
it's like 1 and 2/3 by 3.5.
But this is what we build walls out of, right? So we put 2x4s up to build studs for your wall, and then we put drywall over it. So they're taking the things that you build houses with in the back of this warehouse, and they're putting them into the blenders, and they're shredding the 2x4s. Now, if you're like me, I'm sitting there and I would be doing that all day long. I'm like, this has got to be the coolest thing ever, right? So when you start to talk about a $400 blender or a $2,000 blender that can shred 2x4s, I'm a little interested in that, right? So they took it to the next level. They said, okay, well, let's start doing other things with this. And they started following what was happening in the world. So whether it was a new iPhone that came out, a new iPad that came out, it was a Star Wars movie that was popular at that time. What they did is they created all these YouTube videos, and they did it in this completely cheesy way. it was almost like a 70s or 80s game show theme, right? And it had the old 70s, 80s like orange and yellow colors with the logo for Will It Blend. And it was really corny, but it was so much fun to watch. And I would show it to my students, and I've showed it to clients, and everyone's like, that is just such a genius move. So they, a new iPhone would come out, and they're like, oh, we just got the new iPhone, let's call it 16, right? And we're going to see today, Will It Blend? And they play this cheesy music, and they start the blender, and in slow motion, they put the iPhone into the blender, they put the top on it, and you see this thing just get shredded. So what they're doing is they're playing off of the things that are happening in the world right now, right? So if a new iPhone launches, or I mentioned Star Wars, they had done, when The Mandalorian came out on Disney Plus, they were doing stormtroopers, and they were talking about, stormtroopers, they're everywhere, they work for the Empire, all this other stuff. They can't shoot straight, we don't know why, but let's see if they can stand up to the blender. And they put in this, I don't know, it had to be 1.5 foot stormtrooper into this blender, and it just completely shreds it to dust, right? So they did all of those things on a $70 budget, and the numbers that I see that I wrote down were they got 293 million views from doing these types of videos. Now, you're sitting there and you're like, come on, right? But no, literally, if you do something that extreme, right? So like if I tell you I'm selling a $400 or a $2,000 blender, you have to do something extreme. Otherwise, I'm just going to go buy some random blender. How many of you out there listening at this point want this blender? Like, I think this would be great. I can see myself right now, all of my boys coming over, and we're seeing what we could throw into there. Now, they were throwing 2x4s into it, iPhones into it, stormtroopers into it. They put golf balls into it. I know you're going golfing later on today, right? They threw a golf ball to dust, right? Like, so imagine your blender can do that. And that's what they were trying to highlight, is that these things are literally indestructible.
This next one is one that I use. And Dollar Shave Club, they send you razors every, I think it's every month. Somebody bought it for me for Christmas, and I get the razors every month. I was a little turned around because they used to have a different handle, so I have all these old razors that I can't use when they changed handles, but they're on top of it because the new handle kind of actually contours your face a little bit better. But they've learned a lot too, and they learned right off the bat how to launch Dollar Shave Club, and that's kind of a classic marketing story that you're going to tell right now.
So, the story with Dollar Shave Club is that anyone that buys razors knows that they're a fortune, right? So they're a fortune. You just mentioned it. You change the razor. It feels like every time you're buying a different razor, a razor blade, they've then changed to the next version, which doesn't fit your old version and all these. So I think at one point I went through my drawer at home. I had 7 different razors. I didn't know what blade went to what anymore, and I just kind of threw it all out, and that's a problem, right? So what we're listening to, or what they were listening to, was the pain point that was happening within this industry, and it was the fact that the razors and the razor blades are a fortune, and really shouldn't be. The fact that you're constantly having to buy a new razor, and I mean they're locked up behind a glass case at Target or Walmart or wherever you get your razors from, and it's not a good experience. So what they did is they said, okay, well, we're going to make this a really good experience. So you talk about the subscription model, and that they brought their costs down drastically. But when they launched, it wasn't copy what everybody else is doing. So in the last podcast, we talked about like copying Apple and doing what they're doing. They weren't copying the other blade manufacturers. What they did is they said, we're going to do something drastically different. And it was more of a grassroots kind of thing. So they showed their warehouse, and they spent $4,500 to video, this one commercial. And it's basically the owner walking through the warehouse, and he's showing his, fun side, and they're doing all these different things. But they're walking through, and they're, he's talking about, he picks up a racket for tennis. He's like, I'm no Federer, but I can play tennis. And the ball comes in and he swings and he misses. And it's just all of this like comedy that is built into it, but they're covering all of the things of why your razor is so much more expensive with other people and why it shouldn't be. And so they were taking all of the pain points and like putting them into the video, but they were using comedy along the way. And when they did this, they launched it, right? And the numbers, they got 12,000 orders in 48 hours, right? There's not a single person listening that wouldn't go, I would love to do that. Let's get in the warehouse right now, right? But imagine sitting down and just literally spending $4,500 for a videographer to come in to shoot and edit. But you set things up, you walk through, you take all the pain points that are bad for the industry, you show why you're better off going with them. We've stripped all of those down. We have fun with it. We're humorous, right? And then in the end, as you get out of there, like these guys, they have a huge business at this point, right? So I think they've sold off, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. But yeah, I mean, it's a simple video. Just put a little bit of effort into listening to your customers, the pain points that they have, and then developing that content.
The major theme here, or one of the major themes, is creativity and just kind of doing out-of-the-box stuff. And certainly Blendtec and Dollar Shave fit into that. This one, the next one, is a company called Mattress Mac, and they use something that I don't know if we could do on AM radio, but you can certainly do it on the internet, and that is sports and political betting. Mm-hmm. And it's almost hard to explain, but you're going to do that.
Yeah, so Mattress Mac is the owner of a furniture store down in Texas, and he is a die-hard Astros fan. So through the years, he's realized, you've heard of these different companies that if it snows X number of inches at the airport on Christmas Day, you get, your furniture free and all those types of things. So he was doing those types of programs with the insurance company, because you can go out and buy insurance on something like that, right? So it's instead of having to pay back millions of dollars in free furniture, what you do is you buy an insurance policy and you stick to that policy, and it may cost you $10,000, $20,000, and then you're covered in case something actually happens. What he's done is he's taken it to the next level. So what he's hedging his bet. So what he'll do is, he'll run a promotion. And he'll say, if the Astros win the World Series, everyone that buys from this date to this date and spends this much money, if they win, you get your furniture for free. And he's been doing this year after year after year in a variety of different things. And you can literally go listen to it on YouTube. He tells the stories about how he's got this massive warehouse, and there are times where there's literally no furniture left because everyone is coming in to buy it, because they have so much fun with this. Now, what he does is he hedges his bet on this, right? So if he's going to have to give away millions of dollars because the Astros have won the World Series, what he does is he also bets on the World Series. And I'm not saying to go out there and do sports betting, but it's the way that he does it. So he hedges against it. So if the Astros win, he wins money, which then goes to cover the losses that he's pulling from refunding people their money back. So he's figured out a way to do it, and it works for him. But there's a story out there about when he was learning how to do this, that his wife called him one time. I forget the team that was playing. I think it was the Broncos and the Seahawks were playing in the Super Bowl. And he bet on the Broncos, and he lost. That was when the Seahawks won, and he lost $9 million on the promotion. His wife called him up, and she's like, way to go, idiot. You just lost $9 million. But what I'm saying is he's built it into his business, and everybody knows him now. So this guy can't even walk through an Astros game because everybody wants their picture with him because they know him. So he's become a local celebrity just by hedging his bet on a promotion that he's selling a ton of furniture for. So, I mean, there's a lot of intricate details that I could get into this, but what I'm saying is he's created a promotion that people get excited about every single year, and honestly, he's not losing any money because he's hedging against the loss that he's going to take.
Number 4, the Snowbird Ski Resorts 1-star reviews campaign. Now, This does not appeal to me like Dollar Shave Club or even a mattress I need to buy for a guest bedroom. But this one is, when I go skiing, I want the easy hills. I want to be guided along, and I don't want to run into a tree. And quite frankly, a little powder is okay. Too much powder is a problem.
Right.
But that's, I'm not a skier at that level, but some people are, and they've been able to basically tell you with the snowbirds that, hey, you know what? This is a difficult place, and if you're not any good, you shouldn't come here. But the 1-star review is how they do that.
Yeah, so basically people like you and I would go there, and we were like, oh, this place is impossible to ski. I mean, there's too much snow. Everything's a black diamond. I can't even sit down to eat a sandwich outside because all the picnic tables are covered with 3 feet of snow, right? Like, it was all of these bad reviews that they were getting from people that shouldn't have been at the location anyway, right? So we talk a lot about understanding your customers and who you want to go after. And they realize, like, we're not going after the person that goes skiing once a year. We are going after the diehards, right? So I had a friend of mine that we used to go skiing, and he was a slalom skier, and he would race that track all the way down. I'm like, all right, I'll see you. I'm going to go, on the beginner or intermediate hill, and I'll see you later because I'm not going to keep up. So what they're doing is they're targeting him with those 1-star reviews that I'm giving. I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying that it's way too difficult. The powder is too deep. There's no easy runs. It's too advanced, right? They literally put those reviews into their ads with a picture of somebody going through 2-3 feet of snow or jumping over a hill, right? Like all of these advanced skier techniques. They were putting their 1-star reviews next to it, and I loved it. I thought it was the coolest campaign ever.
Number 5 is a favorite, and this is, I went to school on the West Coast and lived there and was going to plan on staying there, but met somebody and came back here to the Midwest. But I do remember meeting a lot of people from Portland, and they were always a little bit different. And everybody else figured that out too, and now it's part of their marketing.
Yeah.
It's called Keep Portland Weird.
Right. And the funny part is it didn't start there. It actually started in Austin. So somebody took the idea, Keep Austin Weird, and they pushed. They actually brought it over to Portland, and I think I wrote it down. Music Millennium. So it was Terry Courier, the owner of Music Millennium. He printed 500 bumper stickers that said "Keep Portland Weird." Right, took it off of the Austin thing, and Portland literally took it and ran it. It's become kind of like the unofficial motto of Portland at this point. Because when you go to Portland, I mean, again, there's all of these different things about Portland. I mean, there's coffee shops everywhere. There's a brewery on every corner. Like the landscape is different, right? You go from a mountain skiing to the beach all in one day. There's just a lot of art and just a really kind of neat place to be, right? And it's a celebration of that because they're not cookie cutter. They're not like everyone else. I mean, we live in the Midwest, and the Midwest is pretty similar. It doesn't, whether you're in Milwaukee, Chicago, or Indy, there's a lot of similarities there, right? But when you own something, and that's what they're trying to do, is they're owning their unique individualism here. It started literally the unofficial motto that everyone knows at this point started with 500 bumper stickers that were printed by a local music shop.
So the attitude here, and that is one of the things we talk about, is like you have a small or medium-sized business or you're a marketing manager. But the attitude is normally we're looking at data, we're looking at the strategic planning parts of things. This, you're kind of going into the creative side of that. When you're a small business, what do you think like an appropriate attitude toward creating the aura about your business should be?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about creativity is it's unique to each person, right? So creativity is hard. I'm going to be honest, it's hard. And I've worked with multiple people for years they'll come to me and they'll say, oh, I'm creative. And I remember I was given years ago by a portfolio school. I saw it somewhere, and it was a one pager, and it was nothing but dots. and it said, I think it was 2 minutes or something like that. Create as many pictures from this as you possibly can. And all they gave you were dots, right? So I started giving that to students years ago, and I said, how many of you are creative? And they would all raise their hands. And I'd say, all right, here. And I'd hand it out, and I go, all right, you have 5 minutes to create as many images as you can from these dots. And about 2 minutes in, people are raising their hands. They're like, I'm not creative anymore. And creativity is very hard, but I've given them nothing to go on. Right, so you get dots. People start making boxes from 4 dots and a variety of other little icons and things like that. But what we need to understand is you have to sit back and go, all right, well, what are we trying to accomplish? What are our customers saying? What are we known for? And how can we use that in the creativity, right? So you're not going to go out and steal Portland's motto. It probably doesn't work for you, right? You're not going to go out there and steal the blend tech idea of sticking 2x4s in a blender because you don't sell blenders. So what's the point, right? So you've got to find what's unique to you. And that's kind of, we've got kind of this model that we talk about, and it's called the legit model, right? So the L part of it is leveraging what is unique to you. And I think that's the most important thing, is start there, because you can't be unique and the same as somebody else. It just doesn't work that way. So find what makes you unique.
And I did not see the other page of legit. I was wondering if we were going to. I know. I was wondering if we were going to get to legit, but you got to remind people, what it stands for.
Yeah. So legit is basically, we have L, which is leverage what makes you unique, which we just talked about, and then you go to E, which is entertain or emotionally connect. Right. So in today's world, we are looking to be entertained at any given moment. You're on your phone for 6 to 10 hours a day, right? Let's face it, that's where we're at these days. It used to be 2 to 4, 2 to 6. Now COVID threw us into that. We're always looking to be entertained. We have a device in our fingertips at all given time. So you have to look at it from that point. So, what makes us unique, to leverage what makes you unique, and then entertain and emotionally connect. We have to go where our customers are. So that's the G of legit, right? Where are they? And we talked about picking technologies and understanding where we can find them. So if you're targeting, an older demographic, maybe Facebook would make more sense. I'm actually doing a podcast for another podcast in a couple weeks where we're talking about traditional methods, right? And that TV and radio and things like that actually makes a much better buy for some demographic.
Local.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to be hyper local, I mean, that is one of the things that one of the larger marketers around here has alerted us that there is this kind of, what does she call it, pivot to local, or return to local. Yep. And I'm like, well, we're feeling it, but I guess I hadn't really looked at the trade journals and stuff. But the pivot to local isn't just using TV, radio, newspapers, or, putting billboards up. It is using local brands that have their social media and so forth, and using that. And I would be interested in listening to that.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, so legit is leverage what makes you unique, entertain, go where your customers are. And that means what?
So go where your customers are, right? So understand where they are taking in, where they are being entertained. Is it social media? Is it TV? Is it events? Where is it, right? So just understand where you need to go find your customers, where that target audience is. The next thing that we get into is the I, and that's involve your customers, right? So we've mentioned many times through this whole thing, not just this podcast, but other podcast episodes that we've had, that how do you get your customers involved, right? So let's have them be part of it in some capacity, right? Take pictures, video, let them share things on your Instagram, right? Like, there's so many examples that we can use for that. And then last but not least, we have T, which is turn real moments into content. So, we could shoot, we're sitting in here in studio today. We could shoot all kinds of craziness that happens here in the studio. You'd probably laugh half the time of some of the things that go on, and maybe we should document that as we
actually
progress.
What it would do is just show everybody exactly how much incompetence I have as a leader, and that how much we screw around here behind the scenes doing TV, streaming video and radio. But those fit certain people,
Right.
those behind the scenes looks.
Right. So, I mean, even if you want to take it back to, I work at a university, and there's all kinds of things that happen behind the scenes at a university, right? So, if I'm sitting with, if I sit down with a student and we have a really good conversation about how to go out and get a job, nobody ever sees that side of it, right? But I'm working with a handful of students right now to clean up their resumes, to get their projects all in order. We're doing all of these kind of behind the scenes things that really should be documented to kind of show that a school is not just going to classes and getting a grade. It is really getting to know your instructors, getting to know people. I've told people to reach out to look at my LinkedIn. If there's anyone they want to connect with, I'm happy to do the intro. Like, there's all of these things that happen behind the scenes at any business that's out there, and it makes you real. You see these companies like Apple and all of that, and they are faceless companies, other than Tim Cook, right? Like, they are faceless companies. You don't know who works there. But if you're a local company, you have to become the local celebrity. They have to see behind the scenes. They want to know that you are not perfect. You are one of them. You are part of that neighborhood. And I think that is probably the best form of creativity that I can give you, is just be you.
Just be you. Hey, tell people about Mastering Local Marketing. If you want to connect with us, just go on to Instagram, and that handle is?
It's at Mastering Local Marketing.
Yeah, you can get us all over anywhere, and tell us what you want us to talk about. If you want to come on the show, just connect with us. Matt will schedule you up, and you'll be able to come in. We can Zoom you in from wherever you're at. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.
The Mastering Local Marketing podcast helps local small business owners like you understand what it takes to successfully market your business and drive new customers through your doors. We provide actionable insights, interview leading experts and business owners in various industries, as well as provide tips and tricks we've uncovered over the last 25 years in the field. Whether you're starting your business or you've been at it for decades, let us provide you with the education and resources you need to grow your customer base. It's time to start mastering your local marketing.